Jonathan Schrager here for Stretty News TV. I'm joined today by United alumnus Andy Ritchie, 77 to 80, I believe, in the first team. First of all, Andy, how are we doing today?
Very well. Looking forward to it. New season. I think there's a lot of excitement about. I think that the new signings have whetted everybody's appetite for the new season.
Yeah.
But having said that, you can't get much more of a test in your first game than Tottenham, and I think it'll be a real tough opener for us. But we've got home advantage. Sure, there's going to be a massive crowd and a great atmosphere. It always is at Old Trafford, and especially on the first day of a new season.
Yeah, and just from your, obviously, you live in Manchester, you're in and around Manchester. I imagine a lot of people recognise you from various generations as you're walking around.
Yeah. I get a few, but not that many, Jonathan. And I think a lot of people remember me more at Oldham than probably at Manchester United. It's over 30 odd years since I played here, but it's just nice to be back and working here. It's a great honour, and get to see the football and also meet some great people in the lounge that are working, and I still work with a big friend of mine who's Dennis Irwin, and I've played with him and now I'm working with him. So it's a great atmosphere. Love the job, and couldn't ask for anything better.
Well, so I was going to say, sort of two-part question. I was going to say, when you are recognised and people come up to you, certainly in this closed season, is there a palpable buzz, do you feel now, that people feel we're on the cusp of not necessarily winning the title, but certainly being a force again? And the second question is, I was going to say, is it a dream working here? You say, working with your pal.
Yeah.
Does it feel like work?
No, it doesn't really, because I'm working with Dennis, who I've known for years. I'm working with Andrew Cole, who I've got to know through working in the lounge, and is a fantastic lad. Yeah. Get on great with him, and Albert Morgan, who was the manager's kit man for 25 years.
Yeah.
Get on fantastically with him.
Yeah.
And we have a great time, and it's not like work, as you say.
Yeah.
But yes, the first part of the question, I think there is a buzz, there is an expectancy, and I think probably that has arisen from what happened last season, because I don't think we expected to be in the top four. I don't even think the manager did. Yeah. I think he was a little bit surprised, if you really pinned him down, that we managed to get that fourth spot.
Even though publicly would he have stated? I'm pretty sure publicly.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would have really, but I think he just said that he wanted to work towards getting into the Premier, the top four in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He's done that, I think, probably ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably built a rod for his own back a little bit, the manager. But you have to do that, and you want to do that, and he wants to be successful. He's been successful at every single club he's been at, virtually.
Yeah.
And I think that will happen here. And just coming in today. The lads on the gate at the car park, who I've got a bit of a rapport with, and we have a bit of a laugh and a joke.
Yeah.
All them, they're going, we're going to do something this season, aren't we? And that wasn't there that season, last season.
Yeah.
So I think their expectancy, everybody around the place, I think will be higher than it was last year.
Yeah.
And I think if we get off to a good start against Spurs today, which is going to be a real tough, as I say, I think it will give everybody a big lift.
And I remember, obviously, we were on BBC Red Wednesday on Wednesday, obviously, and I think your overriding message was, as you've just kind of alluded to there, it was cautious optimism, wasn't it, in terms of, yes, there's the buzz and what have you, but like you say, maybe the manager has increased expectations prematurely, so maybe just to err a little bit on the side of caution with the optimism.
I think so, and everybody's talking about the Champions League. Well, we're not there yet. I think we will be, but football always is a strange game. We've seen that, and it's shown all over the years and down the years.
Yeah.
So you don't just take anything for granted in this game. But I do expect us to be in the Champions League. I expect those nights to be back here, and they are fantastic evenings. There's nothing to beat them, but we've got to get the job done in the league, and we've got to concentrate on that before that qualifying leg of the Champions Leagues come around, and it's not going to be easy.
No, I agree. And some people strangely have suggested that we might actually outperform ourselves in the Champions League as opposed to the league this year. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think we're better suited in some ways?
Well, I think with the additions that have been made to the squad, I think that we've got a very good European team, if you like, in terms of if we go away and we need to maybe, play two defensive midfield players. You've got Michael Carrick, you've got Bastian Schweinsteiger, and Schneiderlin, I think, can probably do it as well. I think you play a little bit differently in Europe, and I think we've seen that throughout the years. Even with Sir Alex, they had to adapt. And sometimes when you go away, you have to maybe not shut up shop, but you have to be a bit more cautious and hope that you can get something away from home and then get the points here. He always said, win all your home games in Europe, and you're through to the knockout stages, and I think that's quite true. And if you can pick anything up away from home, it's a bonus. So I think, yes, it is a little bit different, and the team will probably be a little bit different when we do play in Europe. But I think this league now is very, very competitive. We're looking at teams that have that can cause problems now all the time. The Stokes of this world and people like that. Even Palace, when they're on song at home, especially, they can cause problems. So it's getting closer. I think they've closed the gap. It's still there, but they've I think culpably closed the gap on some of the top teams.
And loads of questions I wanted to ask you really, but first of all, there's people have expressed a little bit of concern that maybe we've kind of flooded the midfield area now. There's sort of a wealth of options there, but maybe that we still need to address other areas. But like you've mentioned there, with the extra cup competitions now, you do need the extra players, don't you, to fill those berths for all the different games we're going to be playing in.
I think so. I mean, I think we're very very well blessed in midfield now. Multitude of options, players that are a little bit different from each other, and I think we're looking good there. Still think that we need a striker. Chicharito will be coming back. Will he get us the games that he wanted? Manager, I think, said that he couldn't fit him into the team last season. Certainly there's, I think, an opening for him now at the moment this season, unless anybody else comes in before the transfer window finishes. Looks as though maybe Pedro might be coming in. If you read, reading in the paper, in the press, it looks as though it might be there. They're haggling over the price, but I also think we need a centre half as well. I think if we get those two positions boxed off, if you like, I think we've got a really, really good squad of players, and probably got two in each position. The new players that have come in, I think are excellent players. Darmian, for me, is probably the pick of the bunch for me. I think he's a fantastic player. And you've got people like Antonio that can fill in for him there. Phil Jones could do a job there as well. So you're looking all over the pitch now. I think we've got two sort of world-class players playing in each position.
And can I ask for your, I know you've been a manager yourself and what have you, with this squad of players at your disposal, let's discount any potential signings that are incoming, what would your starting 11 be today? If you could pick an 11 today to go out on that field, who would it be? And I know you've not been privy to training sessions and what have you, but just on paper, who would it be?
Well, obviously we've heard from the manager that David De Gea is not playing today. I in an ideal world, that he would be my starter.
But would you, given the circumstances?
Given the circumstances, you've maybe got to put somebody else in. If he's not right mentally and he is a bit affected by what's happening. I can't understand it, because I think if it's going to happen, it happens. You just get on with it, and so Romero would probably be my first choice.
Yeah.
Darmian on the right. I think centre halves. You'd have to put Daley Blind in as a centre half to in the starting in the first game. I think I'd play Phil Jones with him.
Okay. Yeah.
Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
Now
who do you
looks like I would
15 midfielders.
Well, I think we've looked quite balanced in midfield. I think up front Wayne Rooney's he's first on the team sheet.
Yeah.
Memphis would be in there.
Yeah.
Then I think I would put Mata and Young.
Yeah.
And then
So
probably Carrick and Schneiderlin.
Carrick and Schneiderlin, yeah.
Because obviously, the managers also said that Bastien isn't quite ready and quite, up to match fitness. So I think that would be my starting 11 today.
In a sort of 4-2 in front of the back four, 3 and then 1.
Just in behind and the two lads down the side. Well, I say the two lads down the side. There's only probably Ashley that sort of sticks to a left-sided role.
Yeah.
Juan is one that gets a little bit of a licence to roam around a little bit, and I think that would be my starting 11.
Yeah. And just a couple more questions then. Today, obviously, you're here at Old Trafford. It's almost, the stadium itself is almost unrecognisable in some ways to when you played here. Do you still get a buzz when you're walking across? You see what is now the Sir Alex stand, North stand. Is it? Yeah. Where did you used to park when you played, by the way? And what would be the routine of a match day?
Well, we used to park underneath the Stretford end, so just around the corner, the sort of northwest quadrant.
Where I think they still park there now, don't they? Yeah.
But they come in on a coach, don't they? We used to come in on our cars, and we'd park in behind there.
Yeah.
We'd actually probably park the cars under the stand sometimes. That's what we do when we're going to away games. We'd meet here and we'd park the cars under the stand.
Yeah.
And they'd be inside, and then we'd come back on the coach. But we did start to under Dave Sexton. We started to stay overnight away games as well as home games. So home games we'd come in on the on a coach, and we'd get dropped off at the Stretford end there and straight into sort of the dressing rooms, which weren't there at the time. No, we'd come under the Munich's tunnel.
Right.
And
yeah.
We'd park there and just get off and get into the changing rooms there.
Right. And where would you stay in town somewhere? Would it be the Cop
we
Thorn?
used to stay out in Mottram Hall.
Right.
He started to get us out into Mottram Hall, and we'd have a meal, and he knew where everybody was, and it was a little bit forward thinking, that I think. At that time I don't think there was many teams doing it for home games.
Yeah.
Obviously you have to for away games, but not many teams doing it for home.
And am I right in thinking the Copthorne back in the 90s, is that where the away teams used to stay? It was more around Salford.
I mean, I think it was more sort of structured there, and they used to go there majority of the times.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but now obviously they source their own hotels, they source their own deals.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different nowadays.
And was it? I mean, obviously the kind of the reputation back in those days was that you're having steak and chips at 1 o'clock, 2 hours before a game. Back in your day, I remember when I spoke to you originally, when you talked to me about Dave Sexton, you said he was very avant-garde in his thinking, and in terms of maybe even nutrition and training, he was very forward-thinking.
Yeah.
Under Dave Sexton, would you be eating something that was more conducive to what the lads might eat today?
Not really. He was forward-thinking more in his training and stuff like that. Really.
Right.
We'd come in and we'd go in the grill room and we'd have a big steak and probably a baked potato maybe and beans and fillet steak was the order of the day. No chips. There wasn't any chips knocking around even in those days. But we'd probably go in there about 12 and have something 3 hours before kick-off.
Yeah.
But it would be a big steak and beans and it's just the way things have changed, and I sometimes think about how would it have affected me if we'd have had the the knowledge of the nutritional side and recovery side as well of the game that is apparent now. Would it have made us better players? Would we have had a better career? I don't know whether it would, but there's no doubt we were super fit then. But nowadays they're super fit. They're totally different. They've got everything at their disposal in terms of how to sort of relax and recuperate after games. They know what to eat and when they should be doing it, and it's a different game now.
And we're at 9 o'clock now, day of the game. Presumably even this is early for you. Even when you were playing, you wouldn't be getting here at this sort of time.
Probably not. No, the games were more regimented and time scales were set in stone, weren't they? It was 3 o'clock on a Saturday and that was it. So you knew your routine. You knew when you were getting here, and it's all changed now.
And I wanted to just ask quickly about a couple of your colleagues, like you mentioned there before, Andy Cole and what have you. Do you think he's really grown into that role as an ambassador for the club now? Because I think when there's a bit of a misconception maybe around Andy when he was playing, that he was a bit aloof and maybe not very media friendly and what have you. Do you think he's really grown into that now?
He's fantastic. If you're up in the lounge now, you'd probably not recognise him. And I think that it's been a really good thing for him. I think he would say that as well. Don't think I'm talking out of school there. And he is fantastic. He's an ambassador for the club. He's all over the country and the world, along with Dennis and all the others. And I think it's fantastic to get the Manchester United message out. And I don't think there's anybody better than those people that I've mentioned, Dennis and him, and obviously Brian Robson and people like that. So Bobby goes out and still does it as well, and I think it's fantastic.
And just sort of to contrast that, really, obviously we know, I don't want to dwell on this because he's gone now, and Angel Di Maria, it's something we talked about on BBC Red Wednesday, but you're a player, in fact I've never spoke to any old school Red that I've ever spoke to about you has always said they were disappointed you left. There's not one person to me that said, oh actually I could see why he left, or everyone would have liked you to have stayed ideally. The consensus with Angel Di Maria, I think in the end, was get rid, quite happy to see the back of him. So it's a real contrast there, because you represented the club well, and you still, like you say, you're an ambassador really for the club in the work that you do. Is it hard for you to understand Angel's mindset in not really wanting to give it his all here?
I've never had the circumstances that he had to play under in terms of what happened, with the attack on his house, which it would upset me and obviously his wife and family, and if they're not happy, it does affect. You've got to have, everything's got to be in the right state of affairs, especially at home, because I think you do give of your best if everything's okay at home. And it's affected him more than others, and unfortunately he's not been able to produce the form, and I think he's written an open letter to the fans apologising for not being able to recapture his form and bring that form to the stage that is Manchester United, and unfortunately that's not happened, and probably it is better that he has moved on, and we can maybe get somebody else in that's going to be able to adapt to the Manchester United way and not have that extra little burden of something happening outside of the footballing side that has upset your sort of equilibrium, if you like.
And just to end on obviously a positive note, we'll talk about the season ahead now. I was going to say your expectations really for where we can finish. I know a lot of it might be contingent upon if we do bring in a centre back and centre forward, but if we do manage to capture those two positions, do you think we can actually genuinely push towards the title this year?
We can. I think if we get those two positions, I think that those are probably the two missing pieces of the jigsaw for me. I think we've got a really, really good squad that can challenge the best. I think we saw that it was getting that way with that sort of mini burst of games last season against Man City, Liverpool, that run that we went on, and we showed that we could beat the best and outplay them. So I think if we get the extra players that we need, I think we've got a great chance of challenging.
Yeah. And any surprise players this year? Do you think any surprise packages or any players to look out for?
The manager, doesn't he? But I don't think we've seen it yet. If it does come in, I'm not sure. I mean, I really am not privy to what he's thinking and who he's having a go for. So we'll just have to wait and see.
But a player that you like, Darmian, I think someone you're quite hot on, isn't he? Someone maybe that to look out for this season.
I think he's one. I think down the other side as well. I think Luke Shaw's looking as though he's going to have a fantastic season.
Yeah. Lovely, Andy. An absolute pleasure chatting with you as always. And I'm mindful you've got a bit of work to do for MUTV now. But no, thanks for your time. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure. It's always good to be on Stretty News.
Thank you, Andy. You're a gent.
All right, mate. No
Appreciate
problem.
it.